Hey everyone, it's Nicole and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to react to my most anticipated reads up to 019. I've never done this type of video in the past, but this year I actually want to see how many of the books that I mentioned in that video I actually read and if I like them. My feet are actually naked, so we have to actively pray that the feet community is not going to find this video. Without further ado, let's dive into this video. It's been a while. I posted it on January 20, 2019, so almost a full year passed, and I have no idea what was in it. I do have some guesses, but usually during the year I find other books that are exciting and I pick them up because I hear hype from other people, so I might have forgotten a lot of titles. I also used the old intro, which I really liked, but I have to change it at some point. Okay. Let's do this. Hey everyone, it's Nicole and today I'm here to tell you about my most anticipated reads up to 019. A lot of really cool books are coming out this year and I know that I won't be able to read all of them because I have a limited amount of time. So I decided to make this list as short as possible and only mention the books that I'm planning to read this year. I said that I'm only going to mention books that I'm planning to read and that I'm going to put effort into reading or picking up, and I'm such a liar. Also, I look like a baby and it was just a year ago. Maybe I still look like a baby, I just don't notice. We're going to start with sequels because I only have 4 on my list. So the first book is The Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell, which is a sequel to Carry On that I really loved. I love a fantasy standalone, now it's going to be a series, but I'm ready for more Simon Snow and more diverse magical worlds. So the first book is immediately one that I failed to pick up this year. Well, last year, in 2019, it's 2020. But I'm still getting used to it. So it's A Wayward Son. I thought about picking it up. I even have it on Scribd as an audiobook, which seems like such an easy peasy decision, just listen to the audiobook. But I heard stuff about it. Like, I love Carry On. It's one of my favorite Harry Potter parodies. But I heard that Wayward Son has a different tone, and Carry On is kind of whimsical. It's supposed to be a bit lighter than Harry Potter, and Wayward Son has some grander issues introduced into the relationship between Simon and Baz and new villains and stuff, which I guess is the point of making a sequel, but I also am not sure how I feel about that yet. I think I will pick it up in 2020 at some point. The next sequel is the 4th book in the Wayward Children series. It's called In an Absent Dream and it is written by Sean Maguire. I'm reading it in January with my patrons, and I've read In an Absent Dream by Sean Maguire, and even though I feel kind of fatigued about the series overall because I need some kind of an ending, I need to know when it's going to end. In an Absent Dream was absolutely gorgeous. It is set in a fantastic world of a goblin market. It is a super interesting concept. I love the character of Lundy. Highly recommended. I think it's one of her strongest in the series. The book is Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. The Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins was a super duper cute book. Reminded me of The Princess Diaries, but with a queer twist. So if you have not read it yet, highly recommend it. The 4th book that I can't get my hands on in this list is The True Queen by Zen Cho. So The True Queen by Zen Cho is actually a book that I still want to pick up. For some reason, I completely forgot that it's coming out, and I remembered it maybe by the end of the year, and it came out actually on March 12th. I think I was too busy reading other books at the time, but I want to read it because Zen Cho writes fantastic fantasy and I want to get into adult fantasy this year because I'm a bit bored by young adult fantasy at this point and I think it's very limiting, so excited to dive into adult titles. Moving on to standalones and new series. The first book on this list is The Gilded Wolves by 𝕊𝕊𝕙𝕙𝕃. So, The Gilded Wolves is a book I still want to pick up. I didn't have the energy for a fantasy in the first half of the year. I think I was a bit tired of fantasy genre in general. I read a lot of romances, contemporaries this year, and fantasy too, but a much lower number than usual. And then I forgot about The Gilded Wolves because people stopped hyping me up. I've heard a lot of stuff about it being too much like Six of Crows, but I don't believe these people. First of all, they were saying that even before this book came out, so it's suspect for me. Did they read it at all? I want to check it out for myself, so we'll see. The next book is the one that I don't see a lot in the anticipated reads videos on BookTube, and I wonder why, because it's from Lee Bardugo and supposedly a lot of people should be hyped for it because Lee Bardugo is awesome. It's The Ninth House, and it's a contemporary with a mystical / fantasy elements, so an urban fantasy possibly. This book sounds like The Secret History with some fantasy elements. A lot of people are saying that they didn't like it, and I'm still holding out hope that I'm going to enjoy it. I don't follow many people that are into dark academia in general, like the true dark academia, which is a bit dense, is a bit pretentious, rich people, and I love this subgenre so much, so there's a really high chance that I personally am going to enjoy this book. They don't come out this often, so I cherish them, and because of that I really want to pick this book up still. The next one is a book that is compared to Game of Thrones a lot, and I don't get why, because by the summary, it sounds I know what I'm going to talk about. General urban fantasy series, which is a genre that I enjoy very much. I have a reason why I decided to not pick it up. The title is Black Leopard Red Wolf. Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James. So it sounded great. It sounded like an adult fantasy that was written for me. But then I looked up a few reading vlogs, and someone, I don't remember who exactly, said that there's a lot of vaginal imagery in the descriptions, and I immediately knew that this book is not going to be for me. That I'm going to cringe a lot, and that I am going to not be able to focus on the plot. Another queer royal romance, Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This one is about two guys. One of them, I believe, is the son of an American president, and the second one, I believe, is a British prince. Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston came through, fantastic book, and I am very excited for the second book that Casey McQuiston is going to put out there in 2021. It's going to be about queer women, and I need something from them that is going to be about queer women. The Devouring Grey by Kristin Lynn Herman is a start of an urban fantasy series, which reminds me a lot of The Raven Cycle. The Devouring Grey by Kristin Lynn Herman was such a disappointment. I gave it 3 stars at the end, but I still mentioned it in my worst books of 2019 because this book had so much hype built around it. It was giving me The Raven Cycle, and I wanted to read something like The Raven Cycle because it has a lot of elements that I really like in books. And at the end of the day, it was like so many books that I've read in the past. I don't have any attachment to any of the characters, and also I don't have the patience for this book, to be honest. The next one is The Witchy Sapphic book of my dreams. It's These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. I genuinely did really like it, but I'm not very excited for the second book because I think that this book works well as a standalone and I don't need to know what's going to happen next. The next one is a fantasy about female knights, which is one of my favorite topics. Not a lot of people write about that. It's called The Afterword, and it's written by E.K. Johnston. I remember mentioning The Afterword by E.K. Johnston. I still need to pick it up because I'm still very into the idea of female knights. I actually think that it's an adult fantasy book, which is something I want to get into. in 2020. The Love and Lies of Rukhsana Ali, written by Sabina Khan. It's about a young Muslim lesbian girl who gets caught kissing another girl by her parents and as a punishment gets sent to Bangladesh to her relatives. The Love and Lies of Rukhsana Ali by Sabina Khan. An actual train wreck of a book. The message is good, even though I would tweak some things because it is not believable by the end of the book that her parents would warm up to an idea of her being queer so easily, especially after what they've done to her, and she would forgive them this easily. But the writing style was so bad. It was truly really bad. The only good thing about it is the family dynamic and the cultural elements, so the Bengali traditions. It also has one of the cheapest tropes you can see from a mile, so I wasn't impressed and I didn't really like this book. The next book is from 𝕊𝕆ℙ𝕀𝔸𝕃, who's my auto-buy order since I've read her book, Ash. She is coming out with Last Night at the Telegraph Club book in 2019. I don't think that this book by 𝕊𝕆ℙ𝕀𝔸𝕃 actually came out in 2019 because she didn't talk about it on her Twitter, no one talked about it coming out at all. I think it was pushed to 2020 or 2021. I need to check this because I don't really know. The next book is on everyone's lips. It's Tell Me How I Really Feel by Amina Meisafi. It's a hate-to-love FF romance. Tell Me How I Really Feel by Amina Meisafi was very fun for me. I enjoyed the hate-to-love element, I enjoyed the characters, they were very different, complex, not your usual young adult love interests, and I did get a lot of Gilmore Girls vibes from it. I found it very enjoyable. The last book in this video is going to be Wilder Girls by Rory Power. I had no time to pick up. At the end of the year, I didn't want to pick anything heavy. I've read a lot of romances and Wilder Girls just didn't make the cut, but I'm going to pick it up soonish because I do have this book and I do want to read it. People say that I'm not going to like it because it's very vague, and in the past I didn't enjoy some famous titles that were pretty vague, like The Night Circus, but if this book has some kind of secret, some kind of a hook, I'm going to like it, or at least there is an opportunity that I'm going to like it. I know that the ending is also very weak, which I'm okay with. I'm actually pretty okay with open endings. Let's see how many of this I actually read. So I have 15 books on this list. One of them never came out, so we're just going to toss it aside. Let's say there were 14 minus 8 that I've read, and we're left with 6 that I didn't have the time to pick up yet, or I decided not to. I actually think it's pretty good. It's more than a half. In the comments down below, tell me about the books that you meant to pick up in 2019 but had no chance to pick up, no time, other priorities, decided not to pick up because of the reviews that you were reading, or decided not to pick up in general because you lost interest. I'm very curious about that. Maybe I will not pursue some of the titles that are left on this list because of your insight. That's the end of the video. I already found my most anticipated reads of 2020. If you want to see this video, I'm going to link it here. You can check it out. It's very exciting. New releases are always very exciting. Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you soon with my next one, but until then,